stuck there and another one from Tel Aviv. Anyway, I'm David Kaplan, and on behalf of Truth Be Told TBT, I welcome you here tonight to which should be a very, very special evening. As you can see, the whole room is full. As an organizer of any event, it's always very nice to always have such an enthusiastic attendance. We knew that something was really on the go when yesterday I really had to start saying to people to bring their own chairs. I mean, it was that ridiculous. And some people have come here tonight to bring their own chairs. And my wife Hillary was saying, I'm absolutely crazy. How can you tell people there must be a limit? So I stand before you absolutely crazy. And I'm happy to do so. I knew it really was a different kind of meeting when yesterday at about 3:30 I got a call from Isaac Lipschitz, who is the chairman of this wonderful establishment, Late Protea, who unfortunately is in Ichilov Hospital. He'll be fine. He's home. He's home. Okay, but I got a call from Isaac Lipschitz saying that he won't be able to attend, but he wanted to know what was happening. I told him about the figures, that they're mounting and everything. He said, fantastic, it's the biggest crowd Break Protea has ever had. And he said, well, if there's anything he can do to help in that regard from the hospital bed, he said he doesn't mind if Maureen, his wife, sits on somebody's lap. Well, happily she hasn't yet to, but who knows, the evening's not over. Okay. So much for the lighter side of tonight's event. But there's a darker side. There's a darker side because I asked, why is there this enthusiasm to come to a meeting of this nature? I mean, you could tonight be at movies, you could be at the Mann Auditorium, you could be not in the beach, it's now raining, you could be mouthing sweet nothings to your romantic ones at a restaurant, but to come to a meeting with the weird title of Countering the Media Assault on Israel? Can you think of any other group of people anywhere in the world that would have a meeting under that title? Countering the media assault of Singapore, of China, of Australia, of France, of Germany, of Colombia, of anywhere. And if you had to put it in a question of multiple choice and you didn't have Israel as a possible answer, you wouldn't know the answer, you'd have to guess. Put Israel into the equation, into the question, and anybody with an IQ of a watermelon would know the answer. And there lies the answer. What? Aha. Come aboard.
Sneaking unnoticed.
Hardly likely. And here lies the answer. Why there are so many people here tonight and why there is TBT. Because Dayenu. Enough. And as this is a wonderful South African establishment, to express it in good old South African parlance, a lot of us are just hatful. And I'm sorry if I have to use for the non-South Africans, I'm not going to translate the meaning that you get. In fact, Annette used that term yesterday, because in that base, guttural, raw, it lavatorially expresses exactly our anger of how we feel. And hence, because we've come to the realization, and if you look carefully at the invitation, the subheading was Countering the global assault on Israel, and the subhead was, it doesn't matter what Israel does or what Israel does not do, it's a simple question of Israel is. And it's that kind of realization that we are here today, that we've established a committee called TBT, and let me tell you from the outset, it is not political. We are people, maybe on the right, but there are people very much on the left in this committee, and that is not the issue. The issue is getting the narrative of Israel correctly, factually, and accurately out there. A little bit about TBT. TBT was established some months ago, and it started as a response from South Africa when an appeal was made to us about certain articles, very, very negative articles that were appearing in the South African press, and they didn't have the ability to answer a lot of the issues that were raised over there because they were technical. And they asked if people over here could possibly help and assist in answering so that they could be published the next day in the newspapers. we got together and one of our committee members wrote an article and we submitted it. The question is not only writing articles, it's getting them published. But we established a contrivance to get it published, and and Charles Abelson is on the committee over there, wrote the article, and we had it published, and it was huge. It was an article attacking Israel for stealing water in the West Bank. And we knew we were onto something. Within 24 hours, there was another letter, an article attacking Israel. The same format. Charles got together. Again, we wrote a piece. He researched it, and it was published the next day. It then happened a third time. We thought we had something going. And we conceived the idea that how about getting what we wanted to call a rapid response team, where people could be, who are talented, who can write, but we needed the support of the government in the ministry who could provide us within hours, not days, because then it's useless, accurate information on the particular issues of which Israel is being attacked, and that we could then respond timelessly. We had a meeting. It was not a success, I must tell you. I have to be truthful and honest because that's what we were about, truth be told. We went to the foreign ministry, and it's a most magnificent new building. Architecture brings a lot of light into the building, but I didn't see too much illumination over there. We heard a lot about no budgets, and apart from that, I think we were up against a mindset that made and left us quite disturbed as to whether the ministry was equipped, but I'm not going into any details. It may be the issues that are going to be addressed here tonight. So firstly, let me just introduce my committee, because they're a wonderful bunch of people. I can tell you quite honestly, nobody carries Excalibur. Any one of them could have got up here and speak tonight. There's no leadership as such. We're just a group of people that have come together, irrespective of what we politically believe, because we want to get the story right out there. So we've got Harris Green over there, Charles Abelson, Annette Medina-Giladi, Stuart Palmer, Herzl Katz, Rolene Marks, and Morris Ostroff. Morris, of course.
David Kaplan.
No, I'm here. Okay. I want to firstly thank Bay Protea for allowing us to have this wonderful premises, that we could accommodate so many people. Isaac Lipschitz, the gee was. Okay.
It's offensive.
Okay. All right. The two Lyns, Lynn Lockhoff, the director, and Lynn Bach, who's not here, who helped, and Tamar, also somewhere in the audience, and just the entire Bay Protea team. Thank you very much for your unbelievable participation and cooperation. I want to thank Mark Bloomberg, who came and left because he's responsible for our graphics and our logo. Mark, thank you very much. And then I want to thank the South African Zionist Federation, Telfed, for a number of reasons. Firstly, thank you for disseminating our, and we have Dave Bloom, the chairman over here. We have the director, Sydney. We have the vice head, Mesh, for disseminating out the invitation, getting it out to at least the South African public, and also for Dave Bloom, who's volunteered here tonight to take the video, because we hope that the movie that he's going to take with the panel discussion here tonight will not only be entertaining, illuminating, but most important of all, will be instructive. But there's another aspect to Telfed, which I also want to thank. Telfed was one of the first, not one of the first, was the first Olim organization here in Israel. It was formed in 1948, not to help Olim, that's their job today, but really to service those that came to fight in Israel's war of independence, the volunteers known as the Machalniks. But now, 64 years later, we're still fighting battles. It may not only be battles in terms of the physical battlefields, but it's the battlefields of the minds of people. And in that respect, that is what we are about here tonight. And over the last few months, Telfed has organized advocacy workshops which have assisted in this regard, of which one particular one we of TBT were associated with and made a huge difference, because that was the one where we got 3 students from UCT who were not involved. In fact, one was a colored girl and 2 Jews, well, more or less, but were so inspired that they came and said they want to get involved in the Israel Apartheid Week, which was in March. I'm sure, are you all familiar with Israel Apartheid Week? It's held globally at the same month, all over the 250 campuses all over the world. A lot of people said, what are you doing? Waste of time. In fact, that was the response a bit from the ministry. Yeah, you don't have to worry. Everything's under control. We don't react to everything, etc., etc. Anyway, these 3 students came here, they spent 5 weeks here, they were trained here, they attended one of the advocacy workshops, and they made a difference. They made a huge, huge constructive difference to people who say, it's a waste of time, it can't be done, you're up against too much. The right people, the right talent, the will, you can. And they went back there, and at UCT campus, they set up what they call Abraham's Tent. They had these lovely, lovely students over here from the IDC Herzliya, and they made a huge difference in terms of changing the mindset. I'm not going to say much about that. You'll hear from them shortly. So I want to, in that respect now also, to thank Telford for having organized the workshop, and next I want to thank the IDC Herzliya, who helped, and Jonathan Davis over here, who's the head of the international school at the IDC, who managed within a short period to have orchestrated this incredible mission that we sent to South Africa. Because what in fact happened was that the ministry had undertaken to provide us a budget, and at the 11th hour, within 4 or 5 days before they were going to go, no budget. Within hours, we managed to organize budget between the IDC and the South African Zionist Federation, and instead of unfortunately sending 6 students, we sent 5 students. They only went to Cape Town and made the huge difference. In Johannesburg, during the same period, there was an Israeli-born German pianist who was going to perform in Johannesburg, and his fingers had not touched the notes of the piano when the hall just erupted in demonstrations. People came in, picked him up, threw him out, and there was the most vile and despicable kind of aspersions that were cast against Israel, Zionism. Contra that with what happened in Cape Town, it was a different, they had a tent where they offered hummus, tahina, pitot, they had these lovely students, and there was engagement, and it made people rethink. In calling South Africa, calling Israel an apartheid state, when you have these wonderful people over there, they didn't have an argument. So, I'm not going to take up too much time now because we really have to get moving. I'm now going to call upon, because before we start with our 4 students, I want to introduce you, our 4 panelists. I want to introduce you to our 5 students. They're going to introduce themselves, and then 2 of them are just going to speak very briefly about their experience in March during Israel Apartheid Week in South Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.